Well, here we are about probably an hour after we should have been there. There's been no rain. It's the desert. It doesn't generally rain, especially at this time of year. But still, for some reason, over 4 hours, these two teams have been at it. And at the end, the result in the favor of Mumbai, well, yet again, in favor of Mumbai by 49 runs, a convincing margin. 195 for 5 was always going to be imposing unless a Morgan and a Russell all got together and provided some magic. It wasn't to be 2019 all over again. 146 for 9 at the end, and a very impressive, disciplined bowling performance from Mumbai, making sure that the men in purple didn't come any closer. Simon Doull and Joy Bhattacharjya in the studios of My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live to try and make some sense of, yes, why we were here this long, but also the result. No change, Simon, in this, not really calling it a jinx, but pattern, shall we say?
No, I had some faith. I thought Kolkata would be better than that, but Mumbai were brilliant tonight. Right from the start, right from Rohit Sharma at the top was outstanding with the bat, but I thought the discipline in their bowling was the key. They had out-and-out plans for most of the players. They went very short at Owen Morgan when he came in. They lost their way a little bit with Karthik and in that partnership. But to me, it was just discipline. And how can you doubt Jasprit Bumrah? We talked about him pre-show. There was a little bit of doubt about whether he was right or not. He picked up the big scalp. Bolt was good. Pattinson was good. So they just found the right combinations. I thought their lines, their lengths were well thought out. And that's what you expect from Shane Bond as a bowling coach after the ill-disciplined first game. So I thought they bounced back really nicely. And it just seems to be that that's one of those situations Kolkata do not know how to beat Mumbai.
Yeah, well, I mean, that expression, just to stay on Bumrah for a minute, that expression when he took one of the wickets where he was like, were you guys actually doubting me? And that was that, Joy.
Yeah, no, I just want to go back to even this pattern. This reminds me of the English footballer Gary Lineker, who had this very famous quote, England versus Germany in the 80s and 90s will never went friends for England. And he'd say that, football is a really simple game. 22 people chase the ball for 90 minutes, and in the end, the Germans win. And, KKR, I mean, nowadays, KKR-MI encounters are beginning to look like that. No matter what happens, they'll play for 4 hours, 10 minutes, and then the Mumbai Indians will win. And, Bumrah is fantastic to see the way he's come back. But just have a look at that record. I mean, 2016 to 2020 looks particularly dire. I remember the 2008 to 2011 days, and we thought he'd got things. We sorted that out for a while, but yeah, it wasn't to last. And but today was just, it was carnage. And to the honest fact of the matter is, the scorecard actually looks much more flattering for KKR than it actually was. The game was even less close than this. If you think 45 runs was an emphatic victory, this could have been a 70-run victory.
Yeah, and you mentioned Gary Lineker and England-Germany, which was a great example. But I think since we're in the desert, you think of Sharjah in the 1980s, the mid-80s, when it was the Pakistan-India encounter. And Pakistan would say, yeah, are we playing in Sharjah? Right, that's it, done and dusted. We've won the game.
Yeah, it was a tough place to come, wasn't it? We used to come here for triangular tournaments all the time, and it was very, very difficult. You very rarely beat Pakistan here. And look, it's just, there are some teams, and I talked about earlier too, with games, with grounds, with certain teams you play against, and we talked about that with Rohit Sharma, and grounds you talk up. Mumbai see the purple uniform and they think, okay, these guys don't know how to beat us. So they have that confidence, that air of invincibility, that air of arrogance about them when they turn up and they play Kolkata. And it was fully on show tonight after what was, I think, an under par poor performance against Chennai. They really bounced back tonight and showed their true colours.
But from Kolkata's point of view, we've discussed it briefly about what Mumbai feel against Kolkata. What about the other way around? When they come up against an opposition they know have beaten them so many times, are they almost despondent and, seemingly down before they've even bowled a ball?
I don't tend to agree with that. I believe that Dinesh Karthik doesn't have that much history. He's not been around for 10 years. I feel the spectators and, people outside have been scarred more. As a cricketer, you're not scarred that much. You always think you can take them on. It's not that big a deal. It's people who have been following it for 10 years. Dinesh Karthik 10 years back was playing for Mumbai against Calcutta and winning games for them. So I don't think it really plays that much in their heads as it does in spectators' heads. But what happens is, if you're Mumbai and you're smart in the dressing room, you will perpetuate this myth as much as you can. You say, it's Kolkata, we're going to beat them. Look what we've done in the last 10 years, we always beat them. But I don't feel that Kolkata looks and says, oh shit, they're going to beat us again. I don't think that happens. We're just playing badly. And I really have a lot of questions about the team composition as well today.
We'll come back to that, but I think, yes, fair point, Joy. I think all of us, probably are to blame for it. Just like we were saying, okay, Jasprit Bumrah is something wrong. He comes back and sorts it out. So far, Kolkata haven't sorted it out. They've got one more match in this tournament to do so, to make sure we don't have another huge number of days before the gap comes in. But just to put things into perspective with all the teams where they are right now, Kolkata, the first team who have finally got the number 8 team, will come to the points table in a while. But just, Simon, to finish off on this point, they'll say that, okay, our bogey team's out of the way. They'll have to look forward to their next game. Maybe composition is one issue.
Yeah, possibly. There's some thinking to do for Brendan McCullum. His first loss in quite some time, isn't it? Yeah, did he go 14 or 13 in a row in the Caribbean League? So
he did,
with
14.
the GKR boys, 14. So it's his first loss in a little while. He's now got to do some coaching.
No, it was 12. I take that back, Simon.
12. Sorry. Well, yeah, so he's now actually got to do some coaching and figure things out and look at that team composition. Look, there's no point in wholesale changes after one game and one poor game. They'll persevere with most of those players, I'm sure, into that second game. I don't know whether tonight it looked like they needed that extra batting cover, that insurance at the bottom, but I don't think that is a necessity for them. I would rather see them with another frontline bowler. They've got enough there. And I don't know about Narayan at the top continuing in that role. He's getting slightly older. He's getting slightly slower, more susceptible to certain things. So he might only be there for a few more games, I think. And then they may need to look to change that if he's not successful. So those are little things that they might tinker with in the next 2, 3, 4 games.
Interesting thought there. But on the other side, there's another interesting fact that I personally hadn't realized. I mean, we talk about jinxes and patterns. Well, as far as the desert is concerned, Mumbai didn't enjoy it at all. Every time they played a game here, they lost. Guess what, folks? This is Mumbai's first victory in the desert.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, they kept losing, and that was the season. I think after that, they still made it they lost 5 in a row.
All those 5.
Yeah, they still sneak their way through. So they'll be telling themselves, if we are winning our second game out here, these are good omens. And yes, everyone will tell them that it's an even year. It's not your turn to win. And they'll turn around and say, you know what? It's 2020. Anything can happen this year.
Yeah, the zero at the
bowling
end
attacks, I think. Sorry, Gautam. Bowling attacks are what win you 2020 tournaments. And when I look at that bowling attack for Mumbai, when Bumrah is right, and I think he wasn't back to his best tonight, but he was better. Trent Boult he just worked and worked and worked on his 2020 format. If it's not swinging, he's got those cutters. You saw a lot of those slower balls and the slower short balls to the likes of Russell and to Morgan that were good. Pattinson looks like a very good acquisition. You throw in Chahar in there, and then they've got the all-rounders. They've got Krunal. If Hardik was able to bowl at some stage, I don't know why he's not bowling or whether he's still troubled with that back injury. And with Pollard offering a couple of overs at a time, then they've got so many bases covered, 7 bowling options if required, and 3 genuine quality quick bowlers, as well as a quality leg spinner. So I think they've got the makings of possibly one of the better bowling attacks in this tournament, even without Lasith Malinga, which makes them very dangerous.
Just coming to what Dinesh Karthik said at the end of the game, the word he used, the operative word, was rusty. Not too different from what MS Dhoni attributed to himself. Not enough time to get used to it, particularly Owen Morgan and Pat Cummins. Finished their quarantine today, would have taken off their band and put on a wrist sweatband to go out there and bowl or bat. So, point to ponder?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I'm not denying that Kolkata is probably a better side than you see today. There's no doubt about it. There is a lot of quality in that side. What begins to bother me are a couple of things. They actually got a decent bowling effort out of Shivam Mavi. It wasn't a bad bowling effort. But somewhere, if you look at that attack, it lacked penetration. And the moment somebody played out Sunil Narayan, hit him in the beginning, then played him out, and they said, okay, all other bowlers are fair game. Nobody out there in the KKR outfit looked dangerous to them. And that should be a worry. That's a big worry, because See, all this is coming out of that 195, that mountain that they were facing up front. So before we even talk about their batting, their bowling let them down. And we've got to look at that. They should look at that and say, who's going to give us some penetration, some zip? That's what they probably wanted Pat Cummins for. Bowls at 145, can zip it through. Somebody who at least, in the first spell will make the other batsmen scared, will make the opposition think. That's not happened today.
Well, we had a little chat about net run rates and how Chennai, despite everything that they did get close to Rajasthan. And if we have a look at the points table, we'll see that, well, Chennai aren't in the worst possible place as far as net run rate is concerned. Have a look at that. But look at where Kolkata are, minus 2.45. Yes, it's only one game down. Chennai and Mumbai have played 2 each. But that's where we stand with Punjab, the Sunrisers and Kolkata yet to register a point. And remember, this particular outfit in purple have been knocked out on net run rate in the past. So they will need to keep half an eye on that as far as things are concerned.
Yeah, it'll make a difference at the back end of the tournament. I think that's when it really comes to the fore. And this is what we were talking about earlier with Chennai, wasn't it? The fact that you don't want to be playing for it at this early stage of the tournament, but you also don't want to be bowled out for 80, chasing 190, and be in a position where it just takes you 5, 6, 7 games to even get it back into the positives. So those are the things that you're really trying to avoid. If you can win the games, it's easy, you go through. But at some stage, run rate will probably come down to it to maybe decide the 3rd and 4th, the 4th and 5th position. So you do want to be wary of it without ever playing for it.
Big example, Joy, Pakistan, West Indies, opening game. We didn't think too much about it. Just the opening game, you can take a loss. What they couldn't take was the margin of the loss, which came to haunt them at the back end.
Yeah, and KKR has seen this before. If you remember 2010 season, they ran out simply like that. 3 teams stuck at 7 games apiece. It was run rate that took them out. 2016, I think it was again that they were put out by run rate. These are issues. Run rate is going to be a factor. The only thing I'd say is that they'd rather say that, okay, there's a big loss up front, so we are aware of run rate and we're going to do something about it moving on. Because if you have this in the 10th or 11th match, it's very difficult to make it up. So maybe it's an opportunity early. Okay, fine. Now our eyes are going to be on that run rate. We're going to be even more aware. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking for a silver lining in this. I'm sure there is one, but yeah.
It's called a purple lining, Joy. Well, we hope they'll find it at the moment. But I had plenty of silver lining, silver, gold, everything as far as my 11th circle team was concerned. I told you who my skipper was. Even though he didn't make too many runs, it's enough if you have all-round contribution from a Sunil Narayan, and he certainly sneaks in there. You can see Rohit Sharma had to be your captain. Pat Cummins, well, despite the fact that he bowled with 3 overs for 49, he still gets in there because of his runs at the end and sneaks in. Sunil Narayan all-round performance. Pollard, Hardik Pandya, Dinesh Karthik just about gets in there, as does Surya Kumar Yadav. So if you had all those players in the team, you'd be on top of the tree, even if you had most of them. And I suspect this next gentleman did. So let's find out who our My 11th Circle champion of the day is. That was our My 11th Circle ultimate team of the day, which is a bit utopian in nature. Who's our champion for today? And let's go straight and find out who it is who worked out all the combinations. And that's a big score, I can tell you. 492.25. But if you come from Bharuch in Gujarat, you know how to work on numbers. That's what you do all day long. I know half of me does that. The other half goes and ruins it all. But that's what happens if you're from that part of the country. So
no, spectacular performance. I mean, 492, you're absolutely right. 300, 350, 370, these are good scores in that My 11th Circles contest. To get 492 in a single day is superb. That means you picked at least 9 of the 11 players from the ideal combination. You can't get there without that.
Yep, I can confess I had 6 out of the 11. If I had some more, I'd be close to that. So close enough. But let's also move on to see who we are talking about in our Boost Stamina Meter, because it's a fascinating segment. It really tells us about different aspects of people's games. And the player we've chosen today is Shivam Mavi. Now, yes, we've assessed him. We've talked about him. Simon's talked about him, his bowling performance. But when you look at this, you look at his figures, of course, coming back from injury. He earned 73.8 points today, an average speed of 138.13, and had a dot ball percentage of 41.7. Now, these are all different parameters we look at during the game, at the end of which we see the boost stamina meter. It was a batsman yesterday in Steve Smith, but you know the bowlers, Simon. Makes a lot of sense when they actually put on a performance for 4 full overs.
Yeah, and outshining international quality bowlers, and that's what I love about what this tournament does, and what this whole situation, bringing these young Indian players, and we've seen a few of them pop up already in this competition. You know, they get in and amongst senior international quality players, and they have an opportunity to outperform them. Well, Shivam Mavi's done exactly that today. He's outbowled Pat Cummins. He's outbowled a couple of other guys in the contest as well. So to me, that is what it's all about. He's taking his opportunity. I'd like to see them get Nagarkoti in there as well, providing he's fit and rearing to go, and just give those 2 young men a full season and a full crack at this IPL, and just see what they can do, because I think they're both very, very special. And I also believe that, you know, and probably in 2 to 3 years' time, they'll be heading that Indian bowling lineup.
And Joy, the reason why we've also got Shivam Mavi is he was sort of a lone warrior, and that's why carrying the burden of this boost stamina meter. In the opposition, you had a team effort to ensure that there were 21 dot balls in that power play for Kolkata when they batted. But in Shivam Mavi's case, it was Lone Ranger.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say one more thing to that. I mean, this is 26 years back. There was a film that was released in the US, which is called The Shawshank Redemption. And probably my favorite line from the film is, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. So it's the first match KKR. There may be 13 more matches to go, but hope is a good thing, and it's not dead as yet. There's still an opportunity for you guys to do something, and hopefully they'll come out of it. Shivam Mavi looked so good today. I mean, they'll look at him and they'll say that at least one of our guys, one of the people that we put a lot of, forget about money, put a lot of faith into, has actually delivered for us. And hopefully these other guys will come around as well.
I was expecting to pull out a book, Joy, on that. I thought one of the film books, maybe even the script of Shawshank Redemption, pull out the book, dramatically read out the line for us. But I guess...
Yeah, what a great movie, though, Joy. What a great movie. Tim Robbins, Morgan Freeman. Just terrific movie. Yeah.
Well, maybe it's going to be redemption time as we go forward in this tournament. But remember, that's as far as Kolkata and Mumbai are concerned. We could talk till the cows came home, basically, but we've got so much more cricket to cover, and we are going to be talking about 2 more teams coming on, which is going to be Bangalore taking on Bangalore. Yes, I know that graphic says Punjab against Bangalore, but you'll know why I'm saying that. Because on the one side, it's the Bangalore franchise. On the other side, it's a team full of players from Bengaluru, basically. Take a look at that Punjab lineup, but it's going to be a fascinating contest. One team coming off a defeat that would have hurt them because they were in the game for long parts of it. Another coming off a win that was quite against their nature, with their bowlers defending a score.
They were good the other night. I was impressed with the RCB bowlers. The one thing I'd like to see them get Mohammad Siraj into the side as well. I think having Siraj in that side as well, I just think will boost that lineup. I'm not, I mentioned it the other night in commentary. I think he's had 25, 26 IPL career games, 170, and still doing the same thing, still going for runs, still being expensive, still not really picking up too many wickets. So I'd rather see them get Siraj into that lineup and just give him a full season alongside Navdeep Saini, and then really work that bowling attack. I think he's going to be good at the death, give him another option there, and that just might complement that team and finish it off. So it's the only change I think I'd like to see in that RCB side, but they were good, and it was a game that, normally they would have lost, and they found a way to win it.
Well, have a look at the options that he has. Who would you get out? Just to go back to Simon for a moment, if you're saying you want Siraj in, are you sacrificing Steyn? Are you talking about Umesh Yadav?
Umesh Yadav's gone. From my opinion, if we're going to take Steyn out and you can bring drop Umesh Yadav and bring Mohammad Siraj in. If it starts to slow down later in the piece, you can maybe bring Moeen Ali into the mix, bring Adam Zampa into the mix as well, and drop Steyn out. But then you've got what you're doing is you're giving two of your young seamers enough games to make sure they're ready and rearing to go if you're going to leave Steyn out. If the pitches slow up a little bit later on in the piece, Shivam Dube is going to have to bowl some more. So he's going to have to bowl a few more overs of medium pace, and then they can get their spinners into the game as well. So with Steyn, I'm happy with him there at the start, but I think as the tournament goes on, they might need another spinner, whether it be Moeen Ali, whether it be Adam Zampa. That's fine. I don't mind that, but I'd like to see Siraj given that opportunity ahead of Umesh Yadav.
Would you drop Steyn just on the haircut, Joy?
I'd be really tempted. I mean, that outside the mullet is one of the worst haircuts I've seen in the history of cricket. It's a terrible haircut. But no, honestly, I'm actually not a huge fan of Steyn at this stage in the tournament, the way he's bowling. He's a class bowler. He's a wonderful bowler. He's had his time. But I would put Siraj in, and I would get in a Zampa, get in a Moeen Ali. I think it would be a more positive move. It would push the agenda a bit more. You want to play him for 2-3 more matches. My point is that if you feel that Steyn and Umesh can be rested from this place, I think you'll get much more variety bringing in a couple of young players. And I think one of the problems that RCB have had over in the past is they've had two things. One is they've chopped and changed way too much, which probably doesn't work. But also sometimes they waited too long to make, settle into what is their sort of tournament team. And maybe this year is a good opportunity for them to go early and say, okay, this is the core of it's never 11, but this is the core of 13 or 14 who's going to see us through this tournament. Barring injury, these are the guys who are going to win us this tournament.
Yeah, it remains to be seen if Virat Kohli goes with saying, okay, hang on to the winning combination, or if, as Joy makes a good point, are we settling into the right 11? Let's move to the other side, and the side I cheekily call the second Bangalore 11. It is, of course, the Punjab team. Have a look at all those players like led by Mayank Agarwal, Karun Nair. They're all very much from there. And, of course, Krishna Gautam. What about the skipper himself? And looking down that lineup now, they've lost that close game. But again, they didn't do too many things wrong, Simon. Any changes you see there?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the Punjab squad. I think the only possible way they could go is to get another seam bowler, a local seam bowler in. Ashdeep Singh perhaps could come into that side. Mujib maybe come in for Sheldon Cottrell. That would be maybe the one option to go if they wanted to get a little bit more spin, a little bit more quality spin into that team. That's possibly a way to go. Bring Mujib in for Sheldon Cottrell. They've already got Chris Jordan, and
Not
then maybe get Ashdeep. No, I don't think so. I just think Chris Jordan's going to offer more. I think he's going to offer more in the long run, particularly with the bat and at the death with the ball. And Mujib can take the new ball as well. We've seen him take the new ball on other occasions. So maybe look for an Indian seamer in Ashdeep or someone like that, and then get Mujib into that mix as well in place of Sheldon Cottrell. So they're going to find a way to get that mix right. But again, it's early days to be making too many changes. If they can find a way to work, one change in, that would be nice.
Yeah, I think maybe I was being harsh on Jordan because it was just a great day for Marcus Stoinis, who went after him at the end. So you'd have to put that down to him being a class act. Joy?
No, I tend to agree. I'd drop one of Cottrell or Jordan, one of these guys, get in Mujib out there, and I'd get in Ishank Porel. He's looked good, and this kind of surface will suit him. He again, bowls very good lines to the body, and he's got just about enough pace to pin you back. So unless you are going to hit the occasional Rohit Sharma, who's an exceptional, puller and an exceptional field shot. But Ishank Porel will probably be very useful in pitches like this. They need to do that. I worry about their batting because my one thing is that I still feel Sarfraz has had tremendous domestic seasons, but he's never really done it for them. And they've given him ample chances, whether it's RCB, Kings 11. He's never really delivered in the IPL. And I feel, of course, there are not too many. They have an option in Mandeep, but it's not that Mandeep's, set the Dubai Burj on fire as yet.
Well, that's what we have looking ahead to that fascinating contest. So many positives for both sides to pick up. I think Mayank Agarwal will be one of them, definitely. Remember, he was our Trump pick, our My 11 Circle Trump pick a couple of days ago. So we've been getting those fairly right But what we haven't got right in terms of our collective studio setup is the My 11 Circle Badge of Honor. We got it horribly wrong in the afternoon, and we got it wrong again at the very end, even trying to predict a 6-over score. We had lots of possibilities to go. Joy tried to low ball, but those 21 dot balls made it go even lower, in the 30s at the end of 6 overs. And I think that, Joy, is significant because that was the match right there.
And absolutely. And this is the problem today. Mumbai highballed me. I went higher than all of you. Mumbai highballed me. When I went low ball on Kolkata, KKR decided, how low can you go? We can go lower than that. Like, I've been chasing both teams for a long time. Can't seem to be able to catch up.
Fair enough. So I guess we'll give it to the Mumbai bowling coach for today. The My 11 Circle Badge of Honor goes to the Mumbai bowling coach, or the collective bowling unit who bowled in those first 6 overs to ensure that Kolkata were to finish 49 runs short at the end. But talking about low bowling and going low, Joy tried really hard to stoop low today. He tried to make his question as tough as possible, and it meant that I think we had to wait all of 3 minutes 58 seconds before we got our first right answer. Joy, take it away.
No, absolutely. The question was, of the 5 people to have achieved, last 5 people to achieve this, one is the former captain of this tournament, 2 are currently playing, and the 4th achieved this feat in the Gulf. Just name the 5th person in the feat. Actually, it has two answers that you can use. Both answers are correct. The answer that's written out here is, these are the last 5 people to score triple centuries. So there's Sangakkara, Karun Nair, David Warner, Azhar Ali, and Brendan McCullum. Of course, because Brendan McCullum was also a captain for KKR, if you gave the answer as Kumar Sangakkara, the answer still holds. But basically, 5 people to have scored, the last 5 people to have scored Test triple centuries. And I'm just, it just tells you the standard of the kind. It's the answers that come in for our tournament for this Joy Factor questions are like Mumbai's bowling today. They just blow you away. I tried to, confuse it as much as possible and use as much obfuscation. None of it worked. 3.5 minutes.
I must confess the route I was going down, I actually thought Brendan McCullum was a bit of a hint in there. I was going down the 150 plus route. So players to have scored 150 plus in a T20 game. And I thought, okay, McCullum, who else could be there? But I was sidetracked. But let's find out who our winner is for today's Joy Factor question in just a shade under 4 minutes. Chennai boy, Vignesh Rajaram. So I wonder which team Vignesh Rajaram was supporting today. Maybe because of what happened between Chennai and Mumbai, he was leaning towards Kolkata today. But well, that's as you have it. Well done, Chennai boy. The good thing is, Joy, we're getting newer and newer winners every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that pantheon of winners is looking better and better. Crick Rohit was dominating for a while, and I'm glad he's still around. He still answered the first question because, without Crick Rohit, it's never complete. But the other guys are also getting in the answers, and it's fantastic. And the great part about it is it's a brotherhood out there. When Crick Rohit answers or one of these regular guys answers, the other guys congratulate him. They're having fun out there, and they're having so much fun in the game. And that's the beauty of this game of cricket. There's so many other things that people get out of it other than just playing. And that's so fantastic for the sport.
Well, that's what we try to do right here on the show. Try and have lots of fun, get in discussions, get in some hard-hitting points as and when we can. But that's what the whole game of cricket is about. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Joy, we're giving you a chance to go and make it even harder. So we're giving you a day off tomorrow. Simon, you've got some work to do as well. So thank you very much, Simon Doull. We're going to have Harsha Bhogle after one match back in the studio. And Sean Pollock will be joining us for the first time tomorrow. So until we see you then, for Punjab taking on Bangalore, it's goodbye from My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live.